Phoebe has a question. She says, what is one lesson or quality to take from the burly world and apply it to healing from trauma? Any thoughts? If you have thoughts.
I have thoughts. I have thoughts about that. Oh my goodness. So very first, when it comes down to healing from the trauma, it's forgiving yourself. Because I think a lot of times when, depending on your trauma, obviously, I know for me, I beat myself up a lot about it. And that carries on into a lot of aspects of my life because I carry around the blame and whatever fault. Because I'm always the type of person to take responsibility for myself. So in instances of trauma and things that are challenged, I first look to myself. What could I have done differently? And that is a double-edged sword of a trait because a lot of times it allows me to take my own ownness and responsibility and carry forward in the world with that. But when it comes down to trauma, it means that I'm blaming myself for something that maybe I didn't have anything to do with. And so I think when going back to the fact that this is a community, a lot of the time you are interacting with a lot of different types of people, and you'll find yourself kind of running into other people's trauma, if that makes sense. We tend to trigger each other a lot in this community because we have a lot of sensitive people, a lot of people that are coming from a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of people who have different traumas. So we tend to trigger each other. And so if you are a person who is coming from a place of trauma and you do get triggered by somebody else, it's important, I think, to not blame yourself or them for that trigger and for that trauma. I think it kind of goes back to what Eva was saying about the imposter syndrome. When these things show up, they aren't you're a bad person, you need to deal with this, you're so broken. They are clues from your subconscious that this is your opportunity to do something different. I stopped hating my triggers. I used to hate them all the time because I was like, I am so hurt right now. And I finally, from being in therapy, learned that those triggers are my body's cue that this no longer aligns with who I am and what I want in the world. So when you do burlesque and you're in the community and you run into these triggers, it's an amazing time to stop, journal, check in with yourself. What's going on? What do I need right now? Why am I having this reaction to what that person said? Did they really hurt me? Were they actually being mean? Or am I pulling back from something that I didn't realize was trauma? How can I process that and separate it from where I am? And I don't know if that's something that everyone in burlesque experiences, but I've had this conversation time and again with people because I know a lot of traumatized babes. Like, we go through it out here. And I think that in life as well as in burlesque, anytime your reaction doesn't match the scenario, that's when you get that chance to stop and see, oh, there's a broken something here. There is something here that I can heal. And sometimes it's just as easy as recognizing it, and that allows it to heal. Sometimes you have to work with it a lot. Sometimes you'll experience that trigger. You'll think you heal. A year later, something else will come and it comes up. With any community, with any social situation, anytime other people are coming in and out of your life and interacting with something as vulnerable as burlesque, because we are, like I was saying, putting yourself up on the stage for everyone to see, and it's really vulnerable. So when the people come and they get involved in that, that's going to bring up some stuff. So I think as long as you take that time to check in with yourself, be gentle and caring to yourself, and see if it's an opportunity to heal, then that kind of translates all over. I hope that answered the question. I got really excited and rambled a little.
No, that feels, I mean, Phoebe, let us know if you have more thoughts or questions there. I love that. I think, like, I've boiled it down for the Babelicious students that I've been working with most closely, and for other people about getting curious when something is happening, like asking the questions. Okay, well, what's going on here? Why do I really feel that way? Exploring that, and being compassionate in that process, like not being angry at yourself or upset that you're having a reaction, or the other person. You know, when you can extend compassion to yourself, you can also extend it to other people. And, you know, like, we're all kind of trying to do our best in the world where we're at. Vanity or Luna, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I definitely have a little bit to add. I mean, Charlie, like, way to go. Yes, absolutely. All the things that I had never even thought of. Great. I think, so very recently, Eva and I were in a text conversation about kind of a small thing that was going on in like burlesque. And it wasn't like a big issue. It wasn't like, it wouldn't be something that I ever would have thought like, oh, this is gonna be really triggering. And based on my reaction just via text message, like, ooh, no, I don't think we should do that. Like, that's too scary. Like, that's not the right thing. Like, Eva was like, do you think you're being a little triggered by this? And I was like, oh. So I think, I mean, for me at least, sometimes I just don't even know what the triggers are. And it's so nice to be like in a community of people who have these, like, they have the language to move you forward on your own path. Because if I had been having that conversation with anybody else, you know, they might have just been like, girl, you're kind of overreacting, which wouldn't help me. It wouldn't help me be able to process that feeling and be like, oh, this is coming from like a place of past hurt. So just like surrounding yourselves with people who can understand trauma is, I mean, that's my biggest advice. Just, you're gonna meet all kinds of different types of people in burlesque, all types of different people in the world, and just make sure that your inner circle is made up of people who are compassionate and like get it, and build that trust and rapport with people so that when you do have something come up, they feel comfortable enough to be like, hey, is that maybe about past hurt? That was my whole thing.
I just want to hop in and add really quick onto that. You can give yourself permission to not be traumatized. A lot of times we get sunk into our identity of a traumatized person as a hurt person, that we forget that we're allowed to move past it, that we think it's someone that we have to be, especially once you start to identify what all these things are that are triggers, and maybe you get into avoidance patterns with them. Don't avoid the triggers. Work through them, face them, get professional help if you need to, but give yourself permission to heal past that point. You don't have to stay a traumatized person. And with these communities, just like Vanity's saying, we have people here that have chosen to heal, and you have people with the language to help you learn how to heal. I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with my close burlesque friends where I've been like, I'm sorry, I feel crazy. And they're like, we know we have to, let's talk about it. And giving yourself, just give yourself the permission. Sorry, go ahead.